Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to take a look at the astrological energies from April 2nd until April 9th, as we are now in Aries season, but with a dominance of Pisces energies and some big developments unfolding in the Pisces areas of your chart. These are the same themes we've been discussing for a while now, the Pisces and Aries energies working together to support a spiritual renewal, to take you further into who you came to be in this lifetime, as well as to understand what is right on time for you to finish, close out, leave behind, and to understand how all of it has been beautifully designed to support your ongoing soul growth. Now, over this next week, we have 3 big astrology days, April 4th, April 6th, and April 7th. These are the days when the energies are the strongest astrologically, but it's just going to feel like it's all unfolding at once because of the strong Pisces influence that we're under. So let me get right into it here and explain more of the bigger picture energies that are happening as we move into April, and then I'll touch on the individual aspects occurring on specific dates. We have the Sun and Neptune in Aries now. This is always the start of a new cycle. This brings our consciousness into who you are at this time in your journey and asking you to be more conscious in your sense of self, your needs, your intentions, your self-awareness, and what you want to create next that really aligns to you. The Aries energy is fiery cardinal expression. It's the desire to get up and go. There's enthusiasm, inspiration, and momentum with the Aries energy, and it's returning you to the deep soul wisdom you hold, that you are here to be living your authentic truth with the strength of your soul, with the deep knowingness that who you are is perfect in the cosmic mosaic, and to lead yourself from that point, to be in full ownership of who you are now, which involves full ownership of everything you've been through. So even though Aries is the beginning point of a new astrological cycle, what we are beginning is based on where we've been, what you've experienced, what you have lived through, what has defined you and shaped you, what has formed you into more of your truth. And on a spiritual path, of course, that does involve our shadow work, our inner child healing. That involves how we shift and change on a spiritual path as we come into more truth and knowingness that resonates with us. This is also where we earn those dark night of the soul punches on our dark night of the soul punch card, as I like to share with you, where after 9 dark nights of the soul, you get the 10th one free. This also involves the challenges and limitations you faced. So please note that all of that can be transformed into gold that you use at this new beginning point. And the beginnings are emphasized as Neptune is now in Aries at that 0-degree point of pure potential and new creations. So here we have Neptune now in Aries. And it's important to note the transition that occurs as Neptune or any planet moves from Pisces into Aries, where Pisces is not only about endings, closures, and completions. You've probably heard that a million times. But Pisces is where we have disassociated, escaped, we have voyaged into other realms, and it's the part of ourselves that can get lost, disconnected, disassociates from reality, and in fact can be a place of deep slumber and rest. Then when a planet moves into Aries, Aries is the immediate awakening of an alarm. It's the alarm in the morning waking you up, bringing you into the present moment, the consciousness of right now. That can be quite jarring. That can be quite uncomfortable. as the alarm goes off, and now you're meant to begin again after being in the deep rest or perhaps whimsical dreams of Pisces. So now Neptune is at the alarming degree of Aries that brings your intuition, your energy field, and your body into the present moment. And you could have a startling awakening where you see something with fresh vision, new understanding, and a clearer truth. This is something that's unfolding in the collective, but at an individual level, Neptune is waking you up from something. And keep in mind that part of that immediate Aries response can be impulsive, enthusiastic, angry, and shocked. But this is the universe bringing you to something you need to see and understand, potentially that you've known or felt, but now the information is arriving at a deeper level of your being. Keep in mind that this same alarming energy is going to be a focal point for us towards the end of May as Saturn enters Aries, May 24th and 25th, and arrives at the 0 degree point of Aries. So we are meant to wake up to an area of ourselves, of our lives, of our world, and see it for what it is. See people, events, feelings, experiences for what they are. And the Aries energy is about the ownership of what you're sensing and feeling. It's that deep level trust in your gut. It's a gut reaction. And with the sun in Aries at this time, the energy is more powerful. Now, keep in mind that another part of this equation is that both the sun and Neptune in Aries, plus Chiron in Aries as well, are ruled by Mars. Mars is still in Cancer, the never-ending story, right? Mars is still in Cancer, which is the womb of creation in a universal sense, the womb of procreation in a human sense. And Mars could be wrestling with parts of himself internally that he's been feeling and sensing for quite a while now, especially since Mars last entered Cancer retrograde on January 6th. I did some podcast episodes for you discussing the deeper energies of Mars, both retrograde and direct in Cancer, and how it applies to our unconscious initial emotional imprints of our arrival in this lifetime, our first experiences of connection, emotional fulfillment, feeling safe, feeling nurtured, and how we felt we could trust those who were responsible for taking care of us. Of course, usually that is our parents. Mars in Cancer brings up attachment issues, connection issues, our ability to emotionally handle these parts of ourselves, whether or not emotional regulation and moderation is at hand, what we hold back or repress, and how that affects us. Mars is still dealing with these themes, but when I take into account here what I'm seeing visually in terms of the dynamic between the 3 planets in Aries, Sun, Neptune, Chiron, all being ruled by this Mars in the personal, emotional territory of Cancer, almost done in Cancer, just a few more weeks until he enters Leo on April 18th. I'm seeing it as the experience of a soul renewal in the womb of the universe that is recalibrating and reprogramming at a soul level more of who you are, especially related to feminine energies. There's a strong imprint right now of feminine energies rising, the divine feminine rising. And this rising is occurring because this is a lifetime for all of us. All of us and our divine feminine energies regardless of your sex or gender, to be more powerful. That is a big cycle that we're moving through, where divine feminine is rising in her confidence, power, and strength. And everything in this lifetime is designed to make her more powerful, to allow herself to be renewed and rebirthed with the strength of these universal forces so that we can be more loving, heart-based, compassionate, and evolved beings without thinking we have to sacrifice or weaken the feminine, which has been the story and experience across lifetimes and timelines on this planet. So we are doing very deep work here in allowing more of our divine feminine energy to come out and to be fully expressed, as well as to raise the frequencies on the planet as we do so. And it's through the energetics, specifically the spiritual realms, intuitive realms, psychic realms, creative downloads, and just feeling that there is more of you that's here to be seen, loved, and honored than ever before. This truly feels empowering and beautiful, and I hope it gives you a sense of peacefulness, that the feminine only gets stronger, more confident, and more powerful in this lifetime within all of us. And that can mean there are more extremes that are visible or felt during the process. But it's important to know, I just see this as an upward trajectory because it's what humanity chose many decades ago. We chose this. We consciously chose this. It was chosen in these little incremental experiences, as well as in the bigger intentionality of our souls on the planet at this time. We chose to not recreate certain lifetimes, certain war experiences, destruction, threats, attacks. We chose to not recreate that. And it's really important because if we look at this Neptune and Aries cycle, we know that the last time Neptune was in Aries was back in 1861. And perhaps you've heard by now that was the beginning of the American Civil War. Now, take a look at how many wars unfolded on the planet over the past 164 years. And that we are now at a much more conscious place. We are more empowered, energetically connected, psychically tuned in. We are more aware of how things play out. We are more aware of the consequences and karma that's involved with certain choices, actions, and behaviors. We're more tuned in to the role of energy in our lives and how we are here to be empowered, energetic beings. So as Neptune is in Aries, along with the Sun and Chiron in Aries, we are becoming more conscious of how that Aries energy can be empowered at this time, as well as how we don't want to play out similar cycles or lessons at a collective level. And this is going to be very important over the next 14 years, since Neptune will be in Aries until 2039. But at this beginning point, with this Mars in Cancer in the womb of the soul's emotional body, and with a focal point of energy in Pisces, we have 4 planets and points in the late degrees of Pisces right now. Saturn, the North Node, Venus, and Mercury, with both Venus and Mercury retrograde. We are understanding new levels of our own power that are taking us to new levels of enlightenment. And so even though, again, it's Aries season, there is a deep internal energy here where you could feel how deeply you're shifting and evolving into a new version of yourself. It's happening behind the scenes. It's happening at a cellular level of renewal. And it's happening in this beautiful cosmic womb of new creations and intentionality that is showing us more about our divine feminine essence. So this is most definitely the divine feminine goddess energy rising, expressing, and becoming more powerful. And I certainly hope you feel this in yourself, even if you're not sure, you're questioning it, you're wondering if it's true. This would be a time to use your free will and your sovereignty to claim it and say, yes, this is true for me. Yes, this is true. See here, look at my Dark Night of the Soul punch card. I have more than earned this. I have put in the work, energy, focus, responsibility, and personal desires for this to occur. And it's also happening for the best of humanity. That's the other strong energy at play here, is that it's not simply about the individual soul growth. It's about the planet's collective transformation into this new era and into this new cycle. But it starts with us. And I feel too, as soon as I say that, I get the visual of zooming in to the heart of the feminine. The feminine, again, within all of us, which exists regardless of gender or sex. It's that heart of the feminine that is gaining strength and power. And it's also what will transform us into more of these new realities, experiences, connections, and beginning points. It's also why this Mars has had to experience an extended time in Cancer. Mars has had to return to the heart of himself, his emotional world, and to find a new way of owning this, trusting it, and loving it in himself. We also have Mercury and Venus retrograde in Pisces, another water sign. So each of the personal planets are moving through a rite of passage that involves going into the water signs to connect with more of the higher frequencies that reside there. And sometimes you can only access them through discomfort, through overwhelm, through noticing patterns, habits, or parts of yourself that you want to change. Then each of these personal planets, after retrograding back into the water signs, reemerge into the fire signs. And so I feel this is an important signal from the universe that right now it's okay to be in your emotional body. Maybe you're taking on water weight. Maybe you're feeling that you're holding a lot of emotions, feelings, intuitive imprints, especially from the past or from former lifetimes or lifetimes that are unfolding right now in other timelines. There's a lot of water in the mix. And because they're in the late degrees of the water signs, you could feel soggy. You could feel like I am that sponge that has absorbed too much, weighted down by heaviness, especially if you are an empath and you absorb. This is a time to squeeze out that energy, squeeze out that sponge, release it, however that needs to occur for you, and to ensure that you're not holding more than you need to, or that it's not an unconscious energy that you're traveling with. All three personal planets are in water signs. They are making a trine to each other, which is supporting the release of that heavy, grimy, dirty water that you might be holding or feeling. I'll get into the exact transiting aspects here in just a moment, but the other thing that I wanted to touch on that I'm feeling really strongly is in addition to this Neptune entering Aries, where an alarm is going off of some kind, something is coming to your full attention that you're meant to feel and trust, you could also realize, looking back, that there have been intrusions on your energies. And that's because of the strong focus in Pisces at this time, plus Neptune previously in Pisces since 2011, you might now finally see what has intruded on your boundaries, where there have been violations against or on your energy that you didn't notice when you were lost in the mystical Neptune and Pisces realms. Now there's a sense of this is wrong. This is not okay. This is not acceptable. We're not allowing it. We're not going to let it perpetuate. We're shutting it down. And that's one thing that could come to your attention because the awareness here is heightened around what was unjust, illegal, a violation of spiritual laws, an infringement on your personal energy field, your boundaries, or your sense of self. So keep that in mind, that that could be one of the energies you're feeling. And maybe it comes out of the blue, it comes into your awareness suddenly, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not okay. This is not acceptable, and we're not having it. That's one way that this Neptune in Aries is working with us, is again, these alarms are going off, but you're noticing in hindsight where those intrusions were. Aries is a doing sign. So if you're wondering, well, what do I do about it? You don't have to do anything because the universe is on it. The universe sees everything, and the universe understands what needs to unfold for an individual's best and highest growth. So the universe is on it. The universe takes care of certain things that can feel too big for you and overpowering. If you're confused and uncertain about what actions to take, that's a clear message from the universe that you don't have to do anything, because universal laws unfold that allow the universe to balance out where these unjust actions, behaviors, and experiences show up. Neptune is the warrior now. And so Neptune has new powers that align with the spiritual laws. And remember, this is also related to how we're meant to approach things differently now in this new era. Going to battle, going to war, engaging in that level at any form of competition, attacks, threats, violence, whatever it may be, that's the old way. That isn't the higher energetic approach. And so we are evolving into new aspects of ourselves that give us trust and faith that all is being handled and taken care of. All is seen by the universe, and that there is a beautiful sense of trust that you can align yourself with that keeps you in the higher frequencies. And so speaking of this, one beautiful aspect that's unfolding on April 2nd is Venus retrograde conjunct the North Node at 27 degrees of Pisces, followed by Mercury retrograde conjunct the North Node on April 3rd. Now, this conjunction to the North Node opens up what you are meant to understand about your soul growth, who you are in this lifetime. This could be a sense of feeling good about your creative self, your needs, your journey, feeling a deeper connection to the universal flows of unconditional love. I also feel that this Venus retrograde conjunct the North Node is showing you more of your beauty, power, and value in this lifetime, especially since it's occurring right after that Venus star point that we had back on March 22nd at 2 degrees of Aries. Now Venus is elevated here with the North Node, and you could see how far you've come across multiple lifetimes. You could understand more of what you are fated to move towards and experience in this lifetime, and perhaps the messages, communications, and downloads will show up as Mercury is conjunct this point as well. Now, this 27 degrees of Pisces squares the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And the square here is allowing you to check in on what you believe about your worthiness, your self-love, who you are, and how much you are integrating more of your soul's wisdom. The square from Venus is a softer square, softer than other planets experience, and it's a square of allowing herself to receive more support, receive more love, receive more understanding of everything you're doing well, and allow yourself to hold that in your energetic vessel. It could even be an energy of wanting to take a break and not do much, to just have some downtime, to daydream, and to not feel that you have to work too hard. So again, that's April 2nd, April 3rd. Now, April 4th, 6th, and 7th are big days here with a lot of transiting aspects occurring, including Mercury stationing direct, which happens on April 7th at 26 degrees, 50 minutes of Pisces, which I will touch on here in a bit. So that energy is in the background of Mercury slowing down and creating louder messages, more important communications. Anything you've missed along the way, you overlooked, or you didn't see it, now it could come through and really grab your attention as Mercury is slowing down to station direct on April 7th. April 4th, let's talk about April 4th here, because we have 3 planets interacting in a beautiful, harmonious aspect with Saturn in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus, Mars in Cancer, all at 24 degrees each. So the biggest energy here is Saturn in Pisces sextiling Uranus in Taurus, and then Mars in Cancer trining Saturn, sextiling Uranus. And this is important to understand because there's a sense here of what you're ready to change and shift into that maybe you weren't ready to do before. Now there's a sense of, you know what? I'm ready. I'm going to do the thing. I can feel I'm more supported. I can feel the energy moving forward. All 3 of these planets are direct, and they are syncing up so beautifully that the energy flow cannot be missed. There's a sense of, I'm meant to move in this direction and step away from one thing into the next. Now, the Saturn in Pisces is really important because Saturn is now at 24 degrees of Pisces, where it hasn't been before in this cycle. Sextiling Uranus and Taurus is a sense of, yeah, I can do the change. I'm ready to mix it up and to try something different. The Saturn in Pisces is going to be very important throughout April, as there is a conjunction to the North Node in Pisces at 26 degrees. And then we have Venus and Mercury stationing direct conjunct Saturn as well. And of course, we know Saturn is about responsibility, maturity, what you need to handle on your own, what you've been learning to trust on your own terms, maybe for the first time in your life. Saturn is bringing your attention to what is important for you to also move away from. It's no longer serving you. You're closing out this cycle. These are the final degrees of Pisces here. There's endings that need to happen. But the sextile to Uranus gives you a sense of, yeah, I want more. I'm ready for more. I'm ready for the next level. I want to experience this differently. I want to change it up and switch it up. I'm ready. I'm truly ready. And then the trine from this Mars in Cancer is providing that desire, the emotional desire of what would be more fulfilling for you. What would truly be better for your heart? What would support who you are and what you need now? And maybe, again, it's for the first time in your life, you're having some realizations here about where you've held yourself back. You've held yourself back emotionally, perhaps out of safety or fears. Perhaps you're realizing, I didn't know I could have that. I didn't know if I wanted that. But I feel that as we move through April, there's going to be this rising sense of what you desire and what you want to experience in a way that is really good for that divine feminine energy within each of us. So all 3 of these planets are in water and earth signs, which are the feminine energies that are recalibrating us and allowing us to trust that what you want, the universe wants you to have. What you desire, the universe wants to fulfill it. But it comes from your desire and your intentionality first. Also, you have to be in alignment with it. You have to really, truly want it and feel it in the depths of your body. And I think that's part of what this transit is going to show us. Now, it is strong on April 4th. That's when Saturn sextiling Uranus is exact. But the energy plays out through April because as Saturn and Uranus move forward and as Mars moves forward, they still remain within orb of each other. So I would consider this a long-term transit for the month. I also think it relates to what this Aries solar eclipse initiated for us. That eclipse just happened on March 29th. And you could be feeling, yeah, I'm really evolving now. I'm really sensing more of what is calling to me and the new life chapters that I want to create and move into. Then Venus enters the equation, and she has a trine to Mars in Cancer at 25 degrees. Then she will be conjunct Saturn in Pisces and sextiling Uranus in Taurus. This Venus is, of course, retrograde in Pisces as she is now interacting with this trio of energies. So Venus retrograde is bringing in to your awareness what you need to let go of in order to align with the new. And I'm feeling this at a self-love, self-worth level that could relate to something you've never experienced or you haven't experienced in this lifetime. Let me say it that way, because it's really interesting when we do soul depth work, we tend to focus on all the healing that's needed, right? We go towards the wounding, the boo-boos, the fears. We go towards all the stuff that requires deeper level work. But you have had, most likely, many lifetimes of abundance, of true love, deep connection, perhaps feelings of safety and a sense of belonging, a sense of peace and happiness. I mean, I feel that because we've needed to ground that energy into the planet too. We've had to anchor it in, but we can forget about those lifetimes. We can forget that we've also had that as part of our energetic experiences. So of course, trust if it resonates and don't make it fit if it doesn't. But just know that most likely you have that part of your energy. It's just been buried, suppressed, or forgotten. And I think that part of this week, and as we move into April, will be some of the deep rememberings of these energies of true love, connection, healing, fullness, joy, peace, happiness, all these high vibrational energies that we've also experienced, and we've had soul contracts around those too. I mean, we also think of soul contracts as being the things that test us and try us and bring us to the depths of ourselves, but we have soul contracts that balance all that out and return you to a sense of loving yourself, loving your soul, loving who you came here to be. And so this Venus retrograde in Pisces, working with Mars, Saturn, and Uranus, exact on April 6th and April 7th, could help you remember more of those parts of your soul experiences that you've disconnected from, and could also help fill you up, could help you feel a sense of remembering what you're learning and healing, but from a place of confidence, positivity, and deep self-love. I wrote a book back in 2015 called The Unlimited Sparks of a Bonfire. And it's composed of 7 soul stories that were each channeled. So each of the characters in the book appeared to me in various stages. I mean, it was so random. It was nothing I could have planned out. But I channeled their messages and their experiences around different soul imprints. And these themes, I believe, are quite universal, quite relatable. The love and abundance imprint, spiritual independence, sisterhood, healing all energies back to love, divine masculine energy, divine feminine energy, shadow feminine energy, inner merging of masculine and feminine energies, the power of daily forgiveness, on and on. Because each chapter was channeled, and then at the end of the chapter is the understanding of the soul imprint lessons. And they took place on all these different locations on the planet. Japan, an African savanna, St. Petersburg, Hawaii, Egypt, because a lot of these places are power points on the energetic grid, but of course there's many others on the planet as well. But anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about this book. I wasn't planning on. But again, it's called The Unlimited Sparks of a Bonfire, and it just also shows us how far we've come. Like how much you have truly healed, and that we can forget that And so I feel that this is a week and this is a month of really being in your full ownership of how far you've come, because so many of you are masters. And you have to keep in mind that a lot of souls on this planet are young souls. That's something that Dr. Michael Newton references in his book, Journey of Souls, is that there's a lot of young souls on the planet. And we see that show up through various behaviors, addictions, choices, energies, violence, words, etc. And a lot of the young souls are looking to recalibrate and reprogram their lower 3 chakras. And those lower 3 chakras hold a lot of energy and they can be wildly out of balance. So that is something to keep in mind, is to notice how much you have moved through in this lifetime that perhaps only you know, only you're aware of it. But remember, the universe sees everything. The universe knows how far you've come, what you've endured, what you've been through, especially outside of the time-space continuum of this lifetime. And this is a time period of really being in deep recognition of yourself at a soul level. And I feel that's part of the emphasis here of this Saturn in Pisces conjunct the North Node, where there's an acknowledgement of how far you've come, how far you're going in this lifetime too, how much you've advanced, but make sure that you're taking a moment and some very deep breaths to connect with everything you have endured, the challenges you've faced, the karmic healing you've been through, and to only allow more pure love to flood over you. Again, I'm seeing this as a showering from the soul that unfolds throughout April. And then also in the mix is that Mercury stationing direct. It occurs on April 7th at 26 degrees, 50 minutes of Pisces. It happens at 7:08 a.m. Eastern Time, so in the morning hours on April 7th. And as this Mercury stations direct, Mercury is conjunct that Saturn and North Node in Pisces. And this is where you could have some deeper messages, downloads, communications, and understandings arrive for you. And oh yeah, keep in mind, you could just feel exhausted. All this Pisces energy can make us feel worn out, that we need more downtime, more sleep, more naps. We need time away from the busyness of the world and all the stimuli around us to just listen and not take in anymore. Getting back to the sense of feeling like you are a full sponge. If you feel like you're a full sponge, then trust that. Give yourself a break, step away. Don't be available or accessible if needed, and trust what your energy is requiring you to do as a form of self-love and self-care. This Pisces Stellium is really important, and I'm going to do a podcast for you on Monday, April 7th, discussing it more, because it has a lot here for us since Mercury and Venus are stationing direct, conjunct Saturn and the North Node in Pisces. The final degrees of Pisces holds a lot of enlightenment and wisdom for us. I also feel that it's revealing what we are never going back to, the parts of yourself that are truly complete and over, what you have accomplished and finished, where your soul is graduating. Also, what doesn't have access to you. Think of that Saturn in Pisces as a very clear boundary and a strong wall, a very fortified, powerful wall that honors who you are and your energy field in a whole new way. And that's because of the conjunction with the North Node in Pisces that is supporting you in what you're realizing about yourself, your needs, your journey, and of course, what you're completing. Strong karmic endings here. And give yourself, again, that recognition. I do feel like that is one of the powerful understandings that come about as Saturn is conjunct the North Node. We will talk about that more next week as the exact conjunction starts on April 14th at 26 degrees of Pisces. Overall, it feels like this is a very exciting time on planet Earth. And if you're not feeling that, go higher. Go higher, because that is where beautiful soul messages and reminders are awaiting you. Invite them in. Ask for that support. Ask for those reminders. Ask for those downloads to come through so that you can connect with the best of who you came here to be in this lifetime from a place of empowerment, authenticity, and your creative brilliance. The book I mentioned called The Unlimited Sparks of a Bonfire is available as a paperback, ebook, and in audiobook format. It holds a lot of spiritual topics that might be right on time for you right now. And one thing that people have shared with me is that as they listen to the audiobook or they read the stories, they feel their energy change and shift and heal through the story. So I hope that's the case if this resonates with you, but that's also how I felt when I was writing it as well. And if your birthday is coming up in April, please be sure to check out your solar return chart for this year to see what awaits you in this new 12-month cycle. Understanding your solar return is an awesome way of seeing what themes are going to be prominent for you this year. A solar return chart is basically your energetic imprint of the astrological energies for the year ahead for you. And you get a heads up around what you're meant to focus on, what is changing and shifting for you. You want to identify where that moon is. That's very important in a solar return chart. Plus what it means if Mercury or Venus are retrograde on your birthday, and many other astrological energies to understand as well in the chart. So do check out my online course about how to read your solar return chart. This is a course that you buy once and then you come back to every year, because every year you have a new solar return chart. It changes every year. So this is an ongoing tool for you to reference as well as to learn more astrology, because that's one of the best things you can do on your life path is be your own astrologer, understand your energies better, and use it for your best and highest good. I will put the link below this podcast episode for you, and you can find all of my other current offerings at mollymccord.online. I'll be releasing new YouTube videos for you over the next week, so please follow me on YouTube and be sure to check out the playlists as well. Wishing you a beautiful journey into April. Thank you so much for joining me for today's show. I'll be back every Monday and Wednesday for a new episode. Take good care, and I'll see you back here soon.